Got everything all set up. Hold on. Let me just make sure we got everything all ready to go. Let me just check out the YouTube, see if we're live on the YouTubes. Are we live on the YouTubes? Let's see. All right, good. We are live on the YouTubes, and to top it off, the audio is working. All right. All right. There we go. Okay. Good. All right. Let's see what else we got here. We're live on the Twitch. Yes, we are live on the Twitch. Are we live on X? Let's make sure we are live on the X. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. All right. All right. There we go. We are live on the X. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are live on the X. We are live on the X, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. All right. Good. Let's get the announcements out. Let's get some announcements out and ready to go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful. Is it Thursday? It's Thursday. Yes. Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Thursday. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Where is he at?
Eric and the Bull Beefs in the house.
Hold on, there he is. Eric says, good morning, GOAT. Yes, sir. Let's go. All right. You got, Eric got some ones he wants us to look at here. TLYS, ORBS, and FLYT, most definitely. Hold on. I'm getting there. Yes. Bo Beef says, howdy, Bobo. Hear you leaving Charlie. Yes, sir. All right. Coach, that was one of the best and most informative conversations I've ever had. I enjoyed it immensely.
My pleasure, Bobo.
Coach says, my pleasure, Bobo. He says, anytime. Yes, sir. MAAA says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, MAAA. Hope you're doing well. All right. Hold on 1 second. Let me just make sure everything's all copacetic here. All right. Hold on. 1 second. All right. Yeesh. All right. Legal says, good morning, doubles. Marty says, good morning. Good morning to both of you, Legal and Marty. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Yes, sir. Let's get it. All right. Just getting everything all set up. Here. All right. Woo. Night Row, good morning. He says, good morning, doubles. Good morning, man. Good morning. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you're having a good day. I hope it's as beautiful a day for you as it is for me. It's a blessed one. All right. All right. All right. second. All right. Let's see here. Okay, good. We're just getting everything all shared up and ready to go. Let's get everything all shared up, Hope you guys are doing well. How's everybody doing today, man? Hope you guys are doing well. How you guys doing? How is your morning? You guys got like a morning coffee going? By the way, speaking of morning coffee, DBO moms, can you get me a morning orange juice? Yeah, I could use one of those. Little pick me up, you know what I mean? Little pick me up. Little something. Exactly. Yes. A little bit of orange juice always picks me up, perks me up real nice. Percolation. Yeesh. You grab me that. All right. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Let me get this over here. Let's get a share party. Hold on. All right, there we go. All right, let's get everything all ready to go. I was going to say, let's get some dubs for the community. I'm like, wait, no, wrong show. No, not that. Oh, it's in the thing again? Oh, it does that. It's so annoying. It does that. Anyways, but yeah, no, I almost said let's get some dubs for the community. I'm like, wait, whoa, no, wrong show. That's the wrong show. Yeah, it's fixed. But yeah, no, we're just getting everything all set up over here. Nope, not doesn't say it anymore. No.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
All right. Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. Getting everything all ready to go here. Boom. Got that set up over there. All right. There we go. Get that going on over there. All right. All right. All right. All right. There we go. Perfect. Let's get everything all set up here. All right. There we go. Get that set up right there. Okay. Old Beep says I'm wrestling. They call that gimmick infringement. Wow. I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right, though. You're right. I said let's get some dubs for the community. I almost said let's get some dubs for the community by accident. That's on me. You're right. Yes, sir. You know, that is gimmick infringement. That is gimmick infringement right there. Yeah.
One demerit.
One demerit. One demerit and one demerit only. Yeesh. All right. There we go. All right. Let's get this set up over here on the UV tubes. There we go. Boom. Right there. Bop. Right there. All right. Let me get this over here. Let's share this on X right here. Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. Let's get it shared up on X. Let me get it all set and ready to go on X. The announcement. The announcemento. There it is. Boom. Got it. Got it set up there. Bop right there. All right. All right. Let's get this set up over here. All right. Let's get that set up over here. Boom. Bop right there. Good. All right. Let me just put this over here now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right. All right. All right. And we should be good. All right. Let's get this intro started. What's up, guys? It's Double Nicks. And I'm going to have some orange juice. Give me just a sec. Woo. That's that stuff right there. All right, now for the actual intro. What's up, guys? It's Double Nicks, and welcome to another episode of Microcap Mornings. I am your host with the most. They call me DBL Nicks in the house, a.k.a. the Rainmaker. And I am here with the lovely Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Other times she likes to jet ski. Other times she likes to regular ski. Other times she gets shot out the cannon and she goes, wee! Other times she likes to party and go to Arby's. And sometimes she likes to go to Wendy's. Sometimes she'll go to Mickey D's. Other times she'll go to Burger King, and other times she'll just go into the stock market and she'll find them ABCDs while watching videos of puppies and kitties. Also, to top it off, she might go into the stock market and call some stocks like TLYS, POLA, and BNRG. We call her DBL Moms. All right, so that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. So, say hello to people, DBL Moms.
Hello to the people.
Yeesh. 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 So, yeah, before we begin, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And, of course, if you want access to our private Discord, the link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comments section. So be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We were just made different. And the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot.
The early bird, will ya?
Give him the bird. Whoa, 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 whoa.
The early bird.
Early bird.
The early bird.
Yeesh. Yeesh, yeesh, yeesh. Yeesh. All right.
Talking about double.
All right, all right, all right. Yeesh.
Now,
Yeesh, the early bird gets the cash. Yeesh.
Yes.
Bobo Beep says, howdy, moms.
Hello, Bobo.
She says, hello, Bobo.
house.
Yes, sir. All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get started, all right? But remember to check out that 4-day trial for our real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. Let's get started on some of the baggers that we called, some of the stonks that we called that we moved so far. I mean, let's take a look. Let's take a look over here. So we called SLAI, which ran up a nice 67%. Called that earlier in the morning. Curl that in early in the morning. Curled that early in the morning? Yes, curled it early. Yeah, that too. Yes. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. It is the morning, so you know. So I have to have my orange juice. Yes, we curled that early in the morning. Yes, totally. TLYS, we called that prior to its move up. Prior to its run up 68%. All right. We called BNRG. All right. BNRG. We call that prior to its run up 40%. Right there. BNRG. And then we called POLA prior to its run up 38%. Right there. 38%. All right, so that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let me just take this over here. Boom. Good. All right. Boom. Beautiful. All right, let's get a share party going. Let's get to the first 100. 100, 100, 100. All right, so let's take a look over here at the first stock of the day. We're going to take a look at TLYS. TLYS was the highest one so far. It's the leading bag. It's the leading runner so far. It's the leading stonk right there. All right, currently up 68%. That's how high it went. That's how high it went. It went up to 68%. All right, so now, as of now, we got this going on right here. We got, let me get the little path over here. Bop right there. All right, so now we kind of got a little bit of a pennant right over here. Has a little bit of a pennant going on right here, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's got going on. Needs to break this pennant and needs to break above the VWAP. Looks like it is currently above the VWAP, actually. So as of now, the candle is above the VWAP. Needs to stay above the VWAP and needs to break above the pennant right there for it to be schmexy to mya. So TLYS needs to break the pennant and stay above the VWAP. Yes, so we got that going on right there.
What was that? That game?
Pac-Man?
Pac-Man?
Yeah, something like that. It did something like, yeah, yes, something like that. Something like that. Stewie! All right. So, well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at POLA in the meantime. POLA. We'll take a look at POLA. And yes, we will do something with Stewie. We'll do something with Stewie. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Stewie. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, by the way, if you have any requests for stonks you want us to take a look at, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. But in the meantime, let's take a look at POLA. POLA up 22% as of now. POLA needs to break the descending wedge and the VWAP for it to be so much mexy to mya. That's what it needs to do right there. That's what it needs to do right there. POLA needs to break the descending wedge and the VWAP. Yes. The VWAP. Wappa. Yes. Matter of fact, you know what? I might just draw like a little Pac-Man here, just a little Pac-Man, you know. Whip.
I think I'm onto something.
All right, there you go. Pac-Man. Whee! Yes. Look at that. Pac-Man. Pac-Man. Ooh. All right. There we go. All right. So that's what we got going on right there. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 200. But yes, I made a little Pac-Man. Made Pac-Man. There you go. Oh, I'll give him some pellets. Let me give him some pellets. Whoop. Right there, pellets. Look at him. He got pellets. There you go. Bop. Right there. Ha ha ha. Waka. Mm-hmm. Well, it's wappa. There you go. Pac-Man with pellets. POLA needs to break the descending wedge, needs to break the VWAP, mm-hmm. For it to be so much mexy to mya. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at ATPC. All right, let's take a look at ATPC. Looks like ATPC is currently on a bit of a choppy uptrend. It's on an uptrend, but a choppy one. On a choppy one right now. ATPC currently has a 980,000 float, 6 million volume, so the volume is good on this stock. However, you know, it's just a little bit choppy in terms of movement. So it's got that going on right there, but it is on the uptrend right now. So it is on the uptrend, up 47% right there. Yes, sir. All right, so we got that going on. That is what we got going on. ATPC on the uptrend. Needs to remain friends with the trend. All right, there we go. Just needs to remain friends with the trend right there. That's what it needs to do right there. That is what it needs to do right there. All right, that's what we got going on. ATPC needs to remain friends with the trend. But it looks like it is climbing quite a bit. Just needs to stay on that uptrend right there. Needs to stay above the uptrend right there. It looks like the 9 EMA and the VWAP are kind of converging a little bit. It is a bit overbought in the RSI. That's okay. It is what it is. 7 million volume, 980,000 float. So we got that going on. The volume is greater than the float, so that's good news for it. That is good news. All right, let's take a look and see what else we got going on. All right, Boba Beef says, as soon as y'all make a climb, Stewie climb shirt, I'm all in. Ha! Yeah.
Great idea.
I actually like that idea. Hey, take a look. Take a look. We got Stewie over here. All right. Everybody wants Stewie? All right, there we go. Here we go. There we go. There he is. He's climbing up the VWAPA. He's climbing up the, well, not the VWAPA. He's climbing up the Stanka. You know what I mean? He's climbing up the Stank. Right there. ATPC up 50%. Up 50%. Take a look. There's Stewie. He's climbing up. There we go. ATPC climbing up 51%. 51% right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. That's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. Woo! All right. Give me 1 second. There we go. Boom. Okay. Let's see what else we got going on. What else we got? Let's get a share party going. Let's get the 200. All right. Let's take a look at POLA. 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 All right. Pola is the same one that was just below the VWAP. But now it's Pac-Man's doing his thing right there. So it's below the VWAP. So yeah, there you go. Right there. Needs to break above the VWAP. Now he's got me doing it. Yeah. Okay. Ah. Got me doing it now. POLA needs to break above the VWAPA right there. That's what they got going on. That is what they got going on right there. All right. All right. All right. All right. Yeesh. All right. All right. All right. Justin Souter says, good morning. Good morning, Justin. Hope you're doing well, brother. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. All right. Let's take a look at TLYS. TLYS right now. All right. It's currently below the VWAP now. It's currently below the VWAP. Needs to break above the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Needs to break above the VWAP to be somewhat schmexy to mya. TLYS needs to break above the VWAPA and the pennant right there. All right. Also, I think there were some requests that came in. Hold on. Oh, yes, there were. I just didn't see it in the thingy over here. All right. So, Justin request EONR. Yes, we will definitely get on that. All right. We did take a look at TLYS for Eric. We made a request for TLYS. Let's take a look at ORBS for Eric. Let's take a look over there. Actually, let's finish up with TLYS first. Then we'll go to ORBS and FLYT. Then we will get right on EONR. Justin, give us just a second. We will be right there. All right. So TLYS, as of now, has news that TLYS shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results and issued Q1 sales guidance above estimates. So they got that going on right there. That is what they got going on right there. All right. Another thing that happened is they're not overbought on the RSI. Right now, they're not overbought or oversold. They are currently in a pennant right now. Needs to break above that VWAP and the pennant for it to be schmexy to mya. So it needs to do that for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. TLYS currently has a 12 million float, 18 million volume. So that's what's got going on right there. So it's got some news going on, and it does have that going on right there. It needs to break above the VWAP, needs to break above the pennant as well. So, all right, TLYS needs to break above the pennant and the VWAP. Needs more volume to curl. All right, needs more volume to curl. So it's got that going on right there. That's what it's got going on right there. All right. All right. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. All right. There we are. Boom. All right. There we go. boom. All right, there we go. All right. Good. All right. So let's see what else we got going on right there. Let's see what else we got going on. All right. Next request is for ORBS. ORBS. There we go. ORBS. Cha-cha. ORBS. Cha-cha. All right. So ORBS is the next request right here. 8Co Holdings Inc. up 32%. 32% right now. All right, moving its way on up. It's moving and grooving right there, but has formed a bit of a pennant. So let's get this up here. Had a bit of a move up over here. All right, but since fell down quite a bit, fell below the VWAP, and is now currently in a bit of a pennant, leaning towards maybe becoming a descending wedge. But right now, it's more like a pennant, if anything, up 32%. 32%. Needs to break above the VWAP right here. Needs to break above the VWAP. Let's take a look at the float. Float is very heavy at 197 million. Volume is 28 million. So as of now, the float is heavier than the volume. Volume's a bit low. Not looking too schmexy there. Does it have news? Does it have news? ORBS doesn't have any news that came out as a recent. It did have something that came out on the 6th that they filed a Form 8 and highlighted their treasury position in their latest update. But other than that, there's not really much to say about this stock. So it doesn't have much in terms of news. The float is higher than the volume. So as of now, it's going to need some more volume for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow. That's what you need to do right there. So as of now, ORBS needs volume to break above the pennant. Broke, and it just now broke the VWAP, so it's got that going on right there. Broke the VWAP right there. That's what it's got going on. Good. All right, let's see here. Bop right there. Right, bop right there. Boom. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 300. All right, and let's go to the next stonk right here for the next stonk right here. Next request is FLYT. Let's take a look at FLYT. All right, let's take a look over here. Now, FLYT showing a lot of chop over here. A lot of indecisive wicks over here. A lot of indecisive wicks over here. A lot of indecisive wicks over here. Over here. And, of course, some over here. So it's got quite a bit of indecisive wicks going on. Trader 2X long fly daily ETF. That is the name of the stonk here. It is a bit overbought on the RSI as of now. It has moved quite a bit over the overbought sector of the RSI. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. All right. Float and volume are both unknown as of this time, so it is completely unknown what the float and volume are for this stonk. Let's take a look and see if there's any news for it. Is there any news for it? Let's take a look. No news for it. So as of now, the float and volume are unknown, but I could tell right by looking at it, it's low volume because there's a lot of indecisive wicks. So as of now, FLYT needs a lot of volume for it to be so much schmexy to meow. So I hope that helps you. I hope that helps you there, Eric. I hope that helps you there. Give me 1 second right there. FLYT needs volume to stay on an uptrend above the VWAP. FLYT needs volume for that. Very choppy price action as of now. Very choppy price action for this FLYT. Very choppy price action going on there. That's what it's got going on. All right, let's take a look and see what else we got going on. Let me get a sip of this orange juice real quick, and then we'll get on EONR for Justin Souders. Give me 1 second. Ooh! That's the stuff right there. EONR. All right, so EONR currently moving on up right now. Moving on up. All right. Had a bit of a move on up there and then made a bit of a pennant right along here just above the VWAP. So as of now, EONR is up 14% right now, just above the VWAP. Was a bit overbought in the RSI earlier, but has since pulled back quite a bit. It is currently just above the VWAP slightly. It is literally on the VWAP right now, so it has to move above the VWAP, has to stay above the VWAP, and has to break above the pennant for it to really be schmexy to me. Let's take a look at the float. Float is 47 million, so it's a very heavy float. Volume is 10 million, so as of now, the volume isn't as high as the float right now, so there's not much volume compared to the float. The float is 10 times that of the volume. Actually, no, excuse me, not 10 times, 5 times, almost 5 times that of the volume right now. And as of now, EONR does have news that they're expanding their oil hedging position to fill out its base needs for all of 2026 and 2027. Now, Eon Resources Inc. seems to be an energy stock, seems to be an oil stock, all right, which as of now, the oil stocks, some of them are going good, some of them are not. It really depends now. All right. But they have locked in hedging with the oil price spikes through 2027, stage set for planned production growth. So they got that going on right there. Currently up 14%. Float is heavier than the volume. It's heavier than the volume. Excuse me. Yeah. And yeah, let's take a look at the chart. Yeah, has to stay above the VWAP and has to break above the pennant right here. So EONR needs volume to stay above the VWAP and break through the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go right there, Justin. Hope that helps you right there. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Boom. All right, let's get this set up. There. Okay, so Eric now asks for HIMX. All right, HIMX. Let's see if that's a thing. HIMX. All right. HIMX Technologies Inc. All right. Bless you, DBO moms. Why you don't die. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Why are you coughing? No. All right. HIMX, also known as HIMX Technologies Inc., is currently on a bit of an uptrend right now along the VWAPA. The 9 EMA seems to be kind of converging with it a little bit. It's moving up, but so is the 9 EMA right now. So they're both kind of climbing at the moment. All right, let's take a look at the float. Float is very, very heavy at 132 million. Volume is 2.6 million, so it's got that going on right there. The volume is basically much lower than that of the float, which is not good. That means that there's more demand than there is supply. Or, excuse me, there's more supply than there is demand. So you got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. But they did come out with some news that Hunter Brook posted an article called HIMX Stealth Supplier as NVIDIA's optics resolutions. So they're HIMX Stealth Supplier for NVIDIA's optics resolution. That's what it says here. Revolution, excuse me, not resolution, revolution. Right? So you got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Let's take a look at this stunk right here. Get some support and resistance lines out for it. Boom, right there. All right, so it has to hold above the $11.53 mark, has to break through $12.37 mark right here. Testing the high a day is on the uptrend, but it needs volume to break that uptrend. Well, actually, to break above that high of day and stay on the uptrend right there and remain friends with the trend right there. So HIMX, HIMX, let's see here. HIMX needs volume to stay on the uptrend and break through the high of day. There we go. HIMX, not HIMS. HIMX, different stock. Cha-cha. There we go. Cha-cha, real smooth. All right. All right, let's get the share party going. Let's get the 400. 400. Actually, we're already at 400. Let's get the 500. And it looks like HIMX is breaking above that high a day right there. Broke above the high a day just a little bit right there. Just broke above the high a day a little bit right there, up 34%. So I'm going to give it credit where credit's due. HIMX. broke above the VWAPA, up 36%. DBL moms, do you need water? Get some water, man. Get some water. Get some water. All right. So that's what we got going on right there. That's what we got going on. Needs to break. Let's get to 500. 500. Looks like HIMX is now currently testing the high a day once again. Ooh, all right. There we go. Testing that high a day at 1250. 1250, 1250, 1250. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. Beautiful. All right. So, yes, it just broke through it once again. Broke through it once again right there. Still breaking through it, up 38% and climbing. HIMX currently climbing its way on up slowly but surely, and it is on the uptrend right now. Currently breaking through the high a day, up 40% and climbing up nice right here. So up 40%. HIMX currently climbing its way on up. HIMX currently climbing. All right, climbing up on low volume, but it is climbing. HIMX climbing up on low volume, needs to break. All right, needs to break the high of day, up 40%. Looks like it's having a good move upward though, so I will give it credit where credit's due, but it needs volume for it to be so much maxi to mya. There we go. All right. There we go. There we are. Yes, sir. All right. Good. So let's take a look at another stonk in the meantime. In the meantime, we're going to take a look at another stonk right here. All right. We're going to take a look at BMBL. BMBL. Isn't that the dating thing? Bumble? Or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. All right. So let's see what we got going on here. Bumble Inc. up 23%. 23%. Currently has news that Bumble shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 sales results. Also, Morgan Stanley raised its price target on the stock from $3.50 to $4. $4. That's what we got going on right there. Has a bit of a chop going on over here, chop going on over there, chop going on over here, and over here as well. A lot of chop going on throughout this stock right here. Chop, more chop than than chop real smooth. You know that song right there with the chop real smooth. Yeah, this is a lot of chop, and it's not really moving too smooth, right? But so we got that going on right there. As of now, BMBL needs volume because it's got a lot of indecisive wicks. Let's take a look at the float here. All right. Float is 51 million. Volume is 1 million. So you got that going on right there. Bumble shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 sales results. Also, Morgan Stanley raised its price target on the stock from $3.50 to $4. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. So that's some good news for it. However, it does need more volume for it to be so much maxi to mya. So as of now, BMBL needs more volume to become somewhat schmexy to mya. BMBL choppy and needs volume to keep moving right there. So it's got that going on right there. BMBL needs volume to keep moving right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see what else we got. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a share party going. Let's get to 600. 600. All right. Let's get it going right there. And if you got any stonks you want us to take a look at, be sure to put it in the chat, man. Put it in the chat. Yes, sir. Ooh. Let's take a look at POLA. POLA. All right. Pola now still moving downwards right there. Still within the descending wedge right there, but needs volume to curl back up and break above that VWAP right there and break above the descending wedge. So Pola still moving downwards. needs volume to break above the descending wedge and the VWAPA right there for it to be schmexy to meow. We'll see what happens. We shall see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. ATPC, ATPC. Let's see how it's doing. ATPC. All right. Stewie was climbing his way on up here, but now it has since pulled back quite a little bit right over meow. Bop right there. Formed a bit of a pennant right here. All right. Needs to break above the VWAPA, which it looks like it's testing the VWAPA right now. All right. Fell below the VWAP, trying to curl above it right now. Needs to break the pennant right there. So right now, ATPC, ATPC, testing the VWAPA and needs to break the pennant formed to become somewhat schmexy to meow. There we go. There we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. And as always, we got our boy over there. We got our boy Stewie. All right. He's currently sliding on down here. Ah! There you go. There's our boy. There he is. There's our boy Stewie right there. He's sliding down. He's sliding down over there. He's sliding down. Needs to break that. Yeah, Big Stewie on a little slide. There you go. Hey, look, sometimes look, his height was never determined here. All right, that's all I'm saying. Yes, sir. All right. Ooh. 1 second. And put that there. Boom, right there. All right. And that's what we got going on over there. That is what we got going on. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. All right. Somebody requested over here ORB. ORB. Let's take a look at ORB. No, it's ORB. I think it's someone requested ORB. I think they meant ORBS. Yeah, I think you're right. So ORBS currently curling off the pennant right now. Broke above the VWAPA and is curling off the pennant right here. So we got that going on right there. ORBS. ORBS. ORBS curling off the pennant and broke the VWAPA right there. All right. Needs to remain friends with the trend. All right. That's what it's got going on right there. Let's get some support and resistance lines for it right here. Bop right there. Boom. Okay, beautiful. Has to break above the 124 cent mark. The 124 mark right there has to hold above 113. Has to break through that high a day. So we'll see what happens there, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see what happens there with that stonk. All right, there we go. There we go. All right. Let's take a look at HIMX. HIMX, that was a request of ours. Let's take a look. See how it goes right there. HIMX on the uptrend, forming a bit of a double top. Has news that HIMX is trading higher after Hunter Book Media published a report on the company. So as of now, HIMX needs to remain friends with the trend. HIMX needs to remain friends with the trend and break above the double top right there. Needs to do that right there. That's what it needs to do right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Eric requested HIMX. HIMX. Yes, sir. There we go. Yep. So that is what we got going on right there. All right. So HIMX Technologies Inc. That's what we have going on. We're going to take a look at that. All right. Hold on 1 second. Boom, right there. Ooh. All right. And right here, boom, right there. And also right there. All right, let's get a share party going. Let's get to 800, 800, 800. ROMA seems to have done some movement over there. A little bit of chop, though. A lot of chop going on over here. A lot of chop here. A lot of chop here. All right, and it looks like there's some chop over here as well. Moved its way on up slightly over here, but needs to keep remaining friends with the trend right there. But honestly, it really just more so needs volume more than anything else. So Roma, ROMA, choppy price action, needs volume to remain friends with the trend as of now. Otherwise, it's meh, and you don't want an meh, when you're doing the stonks right there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, all right, all right. All right, there we go. Right there. Let's check and see what else we got. What else we got? All right, let's see here. We have TMDE. Somebody requested TMDE. Let's take a look and see about TMDE over here. TMDE, very, 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 very choppy. A little bit of chop over there. A little bit. It's not very choppy, but there is some chop there, which shows that it needs some volume there. All right, it has an 8 million float, 2 million volume. Let's see if it has any news. Negatory. Oh, it has news that basically the stonk, well, it has news that crude oil climbed up to a certain amount of money, but that was on March 6th. Really, the only reason it went up was because crude oil went up for that date, so that's about it, really. I mean, other than that, not really much to say about TMDE. TMDE, let's take a look over here. All right, has a bit of a descending wedge going on as well, but it needs volume. TMDE needs volume to break the descending wedge and the VWAPA for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. There we go. All right. That's what we got going on right there. All right, all right, all right. Let's take a look and see what else we got going on here. Somebody requested RBNE. RBNE. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look. Not looking too schmexy right now. Formed a bit, had a move upward over here, and then formed a bit of a pennant right here, all of which looks like it was on low volume right here. I bet I could take a look at this. 2.5 million. Actually, the volume is pretty good. Okay. Well, volume's okay, actually, not good. All right. Float is 2.5 million. Volume is 3.8 million. So the volume is higher than the float. That's good, but it needs more. It needs more volume for it to really break above that little area over there. Had some unconfirmed Q4 earnings due in 12 days from now on to March 24th before the market opened. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. All right. So as of now, RVNE, let's take a look. Any news? They raised $13.9 million in gross proceeds from at the market offering program through Q1 2026 at an average price of $4.31 per share, representing a 138% premium. So they raised $13.9 million in average share price of $4.31. So they got that going on right there. It needs to break above the VWAP as well as the pennant. RBNE needs to break the VWAP and the pennant right there. So RBNE needs to break the VWAPA and the pennant. It does have some volume for it, but it could always use more right there. So RBNE needs to do that right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. We shall see what happens, though. We shall see what happens. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 900, 900, 900, 900. All right, and if you got any stonks you want us to take a look at, be sure to put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Put it in the chat. All right. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? Let's see here. We got over here. Let's take a look at Open. Open is a meme stock, but let's take a look at Open. Open is very, very choppy. Right, always has been choppy, so it has been choppy a little bit. Hold on, I'm gonna get rid of this little thing here. Actually, no, not the VWAP. I'm gonna get rid of this little thing here so I can see better. Okay, good. All right, there we go. All right, let's take a look over here. Let's take a look over there. All right, so a lot of chop going on over here. So you got some chop over here, a little bit more chop over here, a lot of chop over here, choppiness all the way over here, here, and here, as well as here. So you got a lot of chop on open. So much chop that you could practically open up a butcher shop. That's how much chop is going on there. But yeah, that's a lot of chop, huh? So open, as of now, needs volume to break up the choppy, price action. So open needs volume to break the choppy price action. Needs that volume to break the choppy price action right there. That's what it needs to do right there. That is what it needs to do. All right, let's take a look and see how we're going over here. How do we do? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1,000. 1,000 right there. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. All right, let's see what we got going on here. How's ATPC holding up? ATPC. All right. All right. ATPC as of now. Up. Hold on. There we go. All right. So as of now, ATPC still in that pennant, needs to really break that VWAP and needs to break the pennant again. ATPC needs to break above the VWAPA and the pennant for it to really be schmexy to meow. Otherwise, not looking too schmexy there. Not looking too schmexy to meow right there. All right, let's take a look over here and over here. Boom, right there. All right, let's take a look. TLYS, see how it's doing. TLYS curled up a little bit above the VWAPA, a little bit, but still needs to break it. It still needs to break it a little bit over here. I'm going to update the VWAP. Again, TLYS shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results and issued Q1 sales guidance above the estimates. So they got that going on right there. TLYS still needs to break the pennant there. Still needs to break that pennant because it is consolidated a bit above the VWAP, but it is currently doing its thing right there. So TLYS needs to stay above the VWAPA and break the pennant right there. There you go. TLYS needs to do that right there. Needs to do that right there. All right. ATPC. ATPC. How's it doing? All right. It's trying to test. It was trying to test that VWAP a little earlier just now. Tried to test it a little bit, but ATPC. Oh, it did? ATPC regained NASDAQ compliance. Tried to test the VWAPA and all right, needs more power. Just after I wrote it needs more power. It needs more power, Captain. Hey. It doesn't have any more power. No more power, Captain. It's going down. She's going down, Captain. All right. Matter of fact, poor Stewie. Poor Stewie. No. No. Stewie. Oh, we gotta get rid of this Stewie and then give new Stewie. Hold on. It needs a new Stewie. All right. New Stewie. I like that ladder. Yeah. All right. There we go. Don't worry. He's got a parachute. But he's like, whee! Yeah, some parachutes. There you go. Parachute.
There you go.
Looks like a chef's hat, but that parachute.
Yeah, Stewie's okay.
Stewie's good.
Stewie's okay.
Stewie is parachuting. ATPC needs to break the descending wedge. ATPC needs to break the descending wedge in the VWAP. ATPC needs to break the descending wedge and the VWAPA right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1100. 1100, 1100, 1100. 1100, 1100, 1100. Yes, sir. All right. Let me get some orange juice in me. That's the good stuff right there. TLYS. TLYS. Still needs to break the pennant right there. TLYS. Still needs to break the pennant. All right, there we go. All right. So that's what we got going on with that. That is what we got going on. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. All right. Let's see what else we got over here. Somebody requested ONDS. ONDS. Let's take a look at ONDS. All right. ONDS did have some movement going on over here. ONDS did have a bit of movement here. Shot up like a Dickens over here, and then basically just kind of made a bit of a pennant right over here. Curled up off the pennant, and then kind of made another pennant right here. So curled up off the pennant here, and made a descending wedge actually off that pennant. So right now needs to stay above the VWAP and break above that descending wedge. Has Q4 earnings confirmed for in 13 days from now on Wednesday, March 25th before the market open. Let's take a look at the float and volume. Float is very, very heavy at 447 million. Volume is 7 million. So as of now, very low volume. Very heavy float. Not looking too schmexy there. Let's take a look at the news. ONDS has news that Ondas Palantir and Worldview collaborate on Stratolite ISR. All right. So they got that going on right there. And yeah, they're basically partnering with Ondas and Worldview to create to advance next generation multi-domain intelligence platforms. So that's what they got going on right there. That is what they got going on. Again, has some Q4 earnings confirmed for in 13 days from now on March 25th. So they have that going on too. So as of now, ONDS up 2%, needs to break the descending wedge and needs to break above the VWAPA. All right, so ONDS needs a lot of volume to break the descending wedge and stay above the VWAPA. Boom, right there. That is what we got going on, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we got going on. Very heavy floated stock right there. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1.2K. Let's get to 1200, 1220, 1200, 1200. All right, let's take a look and see what else we got over here. What else we got? Let's take a look at HIMX again. HIMX. HIMX. All right. HIMX had hit that little double top over there and then created a bit of a descending wedge right over here for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Needs to hold above 1218, break above 1322 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. HIMX shares are trading higher after Hunter Book Media published a report of the company right there. HIMX needs to break the descending wedge. Needs to break the descending wedge and the double top right there. That's what it needs to do. HIMX needs to break that double top right there. All right, boom, boom, right there. That's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, let's see what else we got. What else we got? Let's see. Let's see what other things we could do here. All right, let's see about See how TLYS is holding up. Ladies and gentlemen, again, be sure to check out our 4-day trial for our real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different, and the early bird gets the cash. Ladies and gentlemen, the moolah, the loot, the cash, shoulder, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. All right. So, yeesh, that is what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. All right. Let's take a look and see what other stonks we got over here. All right. Let's take a look at how is INDO? INDO is an oil stock. We're going to take a look at TLYS, and then we'll take a look at INDO. So TLYS, how's it doing? Leading gainer, let's see how it's doing. Is currently trying to stay above the VWAP, but right now it fell below the VWAP a little bit. Not looking too schmexy there. TLYS needs volume to break to stay above the VWAP. TLYS needs to break the VWAP and the pennant. There we go. TLYS needs to break that VWAP and the pennant right there for it to be somewhat Mexi Chumya. There we go. All right. Bot right there. Boom. All right, let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1300. All right, we got 8 minutes away till the power bell. The bell. It deafens me. You know what it is? I'm thinking about power plays. The power bell. Yeah, the power bell. The power bell. The ringy dingy make the wee woo. Yes, sir. Yes. All right. Hold on 1 second. ROMA. As of now, it's a bit choppy with the price action, but again, it is low volume. So ROMA, choppy price action right there. Choppy price action right there. Needs volume. Needs volume right there. Needs volume for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow right there. Yes, sir. All right. They call me Matthew McConaughey because I rat. ATPC. All right. How's our boy doing? Our boy is still, he's still parachuting there, but ATPC is trying to curl a little bit. We'll see what happens there. ATPC shares of trade. We're trading higher after it announced that regained NASDAQ compliance, but it has now pulled back. Needs to break the descending wedge. ATPC trying to curl, needs to break the descending wedge and the VWAPA for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. All right, let's see what else we got over here. TMDE. Let's take a look over here. Curling off the descending wedge, just curling off the descending wedge right there. Broke the VWAP, so it's got that going on right there. TMDE broke the descending wedge and the VWAPA curling upwards. That's good right there. That is some good stuff right there. Bobo Beebs says TPET. TPET. All right, bet. We will take a look at TPET. We will take a look at TPET real quick. Give me 1 second right there. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Bop right there. Okay. TPET, please and thank you. Our pleasure, Bobo. Let's get it done. Let's take a look. TPET. TPET. All right. Now, let's take a look here. Let's get in depth with this one. All right. TPET up 14% as of now, has unconfirmed Q1 earnings. So they're supposed to come out in 12 days on March 24th after the market closed. So they got that going on right there. Is a bit sporadic with the price action, but it is showing a little bit of chop. All right. It's showing a little bit of chop right over here, right where the price action is right there. It is also showing some chop right there and chop right there. A lot of choppiness going on over there, but let's see what goes on over here with the overview. The float is 10 million and change. Volume is 7.3, which means that the volume is less than the float as of now. So the volume is like the demand, whereas the float is like the supply. So if there's more supply than there is demand, chances are good the price is going to go down. But if there's more supply, when there's less supply than there is demand, that means the price is normally going to go up. So as of now, there's more float than there is volume, so that means chances are good price is probably going to go down for now, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We could be wrong. We could be wrong because sometimes there are stocks that move on low volume. You never know, but I don't normally trust those stocks. Now, that being said, let's take a look over here. Let's take a look at some news. Let's see what they got going on. March 10th, Trio came out with news. So they came out with news that they filed a Form 8 with the SEC as well as a Form 424B5. They also came out with news on the 9th that Trio Petroleum extended their Friday surge on the Hormuz disruption fears that they had going on there. So they had that going on. That's pretty much just geopolitical news. And that's the thing with petroleum companies right now. They're very, 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 very how do I say it? Industry based in terms of news right now. So in terms of news, there's no news on the company itself, right? But rather there is news on the issues that are currently going on in the world that are affecting the price of gas and how petroleum companies are to operate, right? So a lot of these petroleum stocks are moving up not on news that their own companies are doing better, but rather that the oil industry is changing and the price of oil is going up, which doesn't really say anything for the stock, right? It's like, oh yeah, great, cool. It might go up a little bit, might go up a lot. You never know, but geopolitical news affects every stock differently, obviously. But we'll see what happens there. But basically, this is more so moving on news of just geopolitical stuff, not news of the stock actually doing something good or making something or being, how do I put it, being brought into something. There's no acquisition. There's no, we made a new thing. There's no improvement that the actual company made, but rather it's more so just the industry related stuff going on there. So you got that going on for TPET. Now, as for TPET right now, it is moving upward a little bit, but again, it's moving on some low volume. So as of now, that could make the price action a bit more sporadic. It can make it a bit more bearish. You never really know. But as of now, the float is 10.6 million. Volume is 7.5 million. So you gotta. We'll see what happens with it. But it does need volume to stay on that uptrend right there. It needs volume. Plus, it is forming a bit of a double top right over here at the $1.71 mark. Right over here. Let's get some support and resistance lines on this stock right here. Let's get some support and resistance lines on this stock right here. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, there we go. Currently has to hold above 168 and needs to break above 174 for it to be schmexy to mya. There we go. There we go. There we go. So TPET, TPET, TPET needs volume to break the chop and remain friends with the trend right there. TPET, That's what it's got going on right there. That is what it's got going on. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. It is now 9:30. The bell. The bell. It deafens me as it makes the ringy dingy. It makes the wee woo. Yes, sir. All right. It goes ding dong. Ding dong. Bing bong. Yesh. Yesh, yesh, yesh. Mmm. All right. All right, all right, all right. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. There we go. All right. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. All right. All right, all right, all right. There we go. Let's take a look over here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So let's take a look. All right. Let's take a look back at Roma. Roma right there. Let's see how Roma's doing. R-O-M-A. Roma Tomatoes right there. No, it's not called Roma Tomatoes, but you know. Sounds good, right? Now, it's Roma Green Finance Limited. It is still on that uptrend slightly, but it is testing it right now. It is very, very choppy with very, very low volume. So as of now, Roma is still showing off that sporadic price action right there. ROMA needs to remain friends with the trend. Low volume causing sporadic price action. Right there. Meh. Not schmexy there. Not schmexy there. We'll see what happens there. We shall see what happens. All right, let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1600. 1600. All right, TLYS right there. Alex Martinez, hello. Hello. He says CDXS moving. All right, let's take a look at CDXS. Let's take a look. All right, Alex, let's take a look. Currently, yes, it is moving its way on upward right now. It is moving its way on upward right now. So we got that going on right there. All right, currently up 59%. Up $2.20, well, $2.02 right now. $2.02, excuse me, not 2,000. It's $2.03 now. Okay, so we got that going on right there. Let's get the show on the road here. Let's take a look at the float. Float is 88 million. Volume is 13 million. So as of now, the float is heavy. Volume is lighter than the float, so not looking too good in that regard. We'll see what happens, though. It is 88.9 million, whereas the volume is 13.7 million, so we got that going on right there. Let's take a look at the news. So is there any news for the stock? CDXS did have some news wondering why it soared nearly 35% after hours. So let's take a look over here. It did move after hours yesterday. Pretty much yesterday. It moved after hours yesterday following the company's fourth quarter and full year 2025 earnings release. They did have a Q4 profit swing and revenue beat. So they had that going on right there. They reported their fourth quarter net income of $9.6 million or 11 cents per share, reversing a $10.4 million loss or 13 cents per share in the same period a year earlier. All right. Now their total fourth quarter revenue did increase 81% to $38.9 million, up from $21.5 million in the same quarter of 2024. The figure topped the analyst estimate of 36.82 by 5.69%. So, of course, they also reported a product gross margin of 65% for the quarter, up from 63% a year earlier. So, as of now, they got that good news right there that they basically just had some good fourth quarter earnings and full year earnings releases right there. And that's pretty much why it moved around quite a bit after hours, and probably why it's moving around quite a bit right now. So currently, as of now, CDXS is 59%, but it does need more volume. Remember, this is 88.9 million float, 15.4 million volume. So we'll see what happens there. All right, but as of now, it is currently on the uptrend. A little bit overbought in the RSI, but it is on an uptrend here. So let's get some support and resistance lines over here. Let's get some support and resistance lines. Bop right here. And bop right there. Okay, so as of now, $2.15 is the resistance line. 193 is the support line. Needs to continue to remain friends with the trend right now, but it also needs volume. So CDXS needs to remain friends with the trend as of now. Needs volume, has Q4 earnings, Q1, what was it called? Q1 earnings right there. It did Q. Earnings news, has earnings news. All right, that's it. That's it. It has earnings news. All right, so it has earnings news. That's what it's got going on right there. That is what it's got going on right there. So CDXS. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. All right, let's take a look over here. Alex says, morning. I've been watching. Been a slow week, so I haven't made many trades on a good week. I may take 20 plus trades a day this week, averaging 2 to 4 trades a day. All right. Hey, look. It's all about the sniping, Alex. You know how it is. The sniping, right? The best way. Sometimes the best defense is no be there. You know what I mean? So the creature on X asked for BMBL Bumble. That's the dating thing. That is the dating thing right there. Let's take a look over here. Bumble. Let's take a look at the float. All right. Actually, let's take a look at the movement. All right. Little bit of choppiness as well right over here in terms of the movement here, but it is moving its way on up slightly. It is on an uptrend right now, but it does have a significant resistance at the 460 mark as well. So we got that going on right there. Hold on one sec. All right. So there is a bit of resistance. Hold on. Right over. There we go. All right. Make this line a red line because it's a resistance line. All right. So a little bit of resistance going on at the 460 mark. Right now it's at 420. Haha, 420. All right. Yes, and speaking of, let's like up the stream. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1700. All right, but as of now, Bumble BMBL shares are trading higher after the company reported a better than expected Q4 sales result. Also, Morgan Stanley did raise its price target on the stock from $3.50 to $4 right there. So that's what's got going on right there. But BMBL as of now is climbing up slowly but surely with low volume. So BMBL as of now needs more volume. BMBL needs more volume to break the resistance at $4.60 right there for it to be schmexy to mya. So it has to do that right there. Bumble, BMBL. All right, but yes, it is on an uptrend though. It's just on an uptrend on low volume. So let's take a look at Alex Martinez's thing here. Can you check out L cut for me? In at 315, first trade of the day on it. I could pull the trigger for CDXS. Okay, so L cut. Let's take a look at L cut. LCUT. All right. Now, this is Lifetime Brands Inc. They have a conference call scheduled for today at 11 a.m. Currently up $7.28, $3, 7.28%. Current price is $3.23 as of now. They had a conference call scheduled for today at 11 a.m., so that's what they got going on right now. Q4 earnings were released today before market open, so they got that going on as well. Let's take a look over here and see what we got going on. Hold on, right here. So as of now, needs to break this little pennant right here. Needs to break this pennant right here. Needs to break the VWAPA, which is right over here at 352, for it to be schmexy to mya. That's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Needs to also break this standby right over here. Needs to break this double top right over here at the $4.12 mark right there. It's a bit of a resistance line there. Let's get some support and resistance lines for it as well. Let's get some support and resistance lines for it. Okay, so we got BOP right here. All right. You got support at the $3 mark right there. Has to break above 324, 344. All right. And then 352, which is the VWAP, 357, 370, 387, and finally 414, as well as a bit of a double top right over here, as well as, or more so like a resistance at the 410 mark. So you got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Needs to break above that pennant, and it looks like it's trying to slightly curl, maybe a little bit right over here if you take a look. But as of now, needs to break 324. That is the first resistance line it's got to break. Has to break that resistance line, pennant, and VWAP for it to be schmexy to mya. That's what we got going on right there. So LCUT needs to break the pennant, VWAP, and the resistance line. That's what it's got going on right there. That is what we got going on. All right. Needs to break those things for it to be so much mexi to mya. So, yes, that's what we got going on right there. The creature asks for LWLG. It says, looking pretty good. All right, let's take a look. LWLG, let's take a look at it. Up 35%. Has news that Lightwave Logic shares are trading higher after the company announced a development agreement with the Tower Semiconductor for high-speed optical modulators on Tower's PH18 silicon photonomics platform. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Has to break above that double top right there. Has to break above that double top at the $6.84 mark right there. Looks like it's trying to test that $6.84 double top mark right there. All right. But it looks like it does have a little bit of choppiness going on, a little bit of chop. We'll see what goes on there. All right. Looks like it's got a little bit of chop here, but let's take a look. Let's take a look at the volume, but it has some chop here, has some chop there. Other than that, looks like it had a bit of a double top, a double bottom right over here, and then curled its way on up right off that double bottom by shooting up BOP right there. All right. Needs to break that double top, though, at 684. That's what it needs to do right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Let's take a look and see what we got going on under the hood over here. All right. Float is very, very heavy at 144.5 million. So very heavy float. Volume is 5.9 million. So as of now, very low volume, very heavy float. It's got that going on right there. They do have news that they're trading higher after the company announced a development agreement with Tower Semiconductor for high-speed optical modulators on the Tower's PH18 silicon photonomics platform. And to top it off, it is a, what did you say? It was a flush risk? Yeah, flush risk as well. So they have that going on right there. Very low volume, very heavy float, right? Possible flush risk. We'll see what happens. It is moving up on low volume right now, so I will give it credit where credit's due. It is moving up on low volume, but it needs volume to continue to stay on that uptrend there. So LWLG, as of now, LWLG, flush risk, needs volume to remain on the uptrend on low volume right there. So that's what we got going on right there. LWLG, a little bit risky to me, but we'll see what happens. We shall see. We shall see. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Let's get some support and resistance lines for it. Boom, right there. Just broke, it did break the $6.80 resistance line right over there, but has to break the resistance at $7.46 for it to continue to be schmexy to mya. So that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Bobo Beebs requests SXTP. SXTP. Let's take a look at SXTP. As of now, let's get some support resistance lines for it. Come on now. All right. All right. So, as of now, it's holding support at $3.53. $3.53. Right now, there's resistance there. Actually, at $3.53, has to hold above $3.13. right? Testing that high of day, but pulling back a little bit. SXTP, also known as 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals Inc., up 6% right now. Needs to break that double top as well as the high of day. Let's take a look at what we got going on right there. SXTP needs to break the double top and the high of day. Needs to break the double top and the high of day right there. All right, let's take a look at the floating volume for this stock right here. Let's take a look at the floating volume real quick. 1 second, 1 second. Boom, right there. 1 second, hold on. All right. All right, hold on 1 second. There we go, and there we go right there, and there we go right there. All right, so as of now, the stock has a float of 1.27 million. Volume is 1.8 million. So it does have a little bit higher volume than it does the float. Let's take a look at the news for it. Does it have any news? Let's see. It does have a news of a Form 424B5 and that they are trading higher after the company announced that 3 of 3 enrolled patients have been cured of babesiosis after completing a tafenique regimen in the company's trial of relapsing babesiosis in immunosuppressed patients. All right, and all 3 patients are cured of their babesiosis after their tafenoquine treatment in expanded clinical use trial right there. So they got that going on right there. That is what they got going on. So they do have some good news, right? And they do have volume that is climbing up a bit. So that's pretty good right now. That is pretty good. Just needs to break that double top right there. It needs to break that double top right there. All right. For it to be schmexy to mya. There we go. There we go. And what was the other one you wanted to take a look at, Coach? ATPC. All right. Oh my. All right. Hold on. All right. So first things first, let's get rid of these drawings right here because Stewie is no longer skydiving. Stewie is now climbing once again. All right. ATPC had a nice pull upward, went back down a little bit, made a bit of a descending wedge, and then curled off that descending wedge right over MIA and broke the VWAP once again. All right, so we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. ATPC, ATPC curling off the descending wedge, broke the VWAPA right there. For it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. Nice, nice. Nice, nice. It's breaking above that VWAP right there. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it for us. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And, of course, if you want access to our private Discord, link to join is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comments section. So be sure to check that out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different, and the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loots, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. And by the way, be sure to check out our amazing 4-day trial. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we go, we do want to mention this right here. Give me 1 second right here. Let me just double check something here. Okay, good. All right. So, before we wrap things up, if you've been wanting to, if you've been watching this stream and you've been watching our videos and all this other stuff, and you're serious about small caps and you don't just sit outside trying to piece it together, ladies and gentlemen, we got a 4-day trial, full access pass for only $9.99, and it's full access, ladies and gentlemen. That means when you come inside, you get to see how we operate, how things work. You get to see the magic happen live and in living color, ladies and gentlemen. You get to see how we separate our structure, trade ideas, how we map our levels, how we think about risk, how we handle momentum, how we handle all that wonderful stuff. You also get access to our next day early watch list, our 24/7 market news flow, which you're taking a look at right over here on the right side of the screen. It has wonderful articles, synopsises of the articles, and to top it off, you click the hyperlink, you get the full article right there, and it also gives you an article to hyperlink to the ticker within the article that is affected by the news within said article. So you got that going on right there. Not to mention the fact that you get pre-market hours, regular hours, and after-hours scanners, float, volume, catalyst, context built right in, hyperlinks galore to get more information on the tickers that are being looked at. You get the ticker, price, volume, float, change in percentage, whether the stock is moving up and down, and of course, the time in which it was scanned, ladies and gentlemen. It's practically scanned every single minute of the day. So it keeps an eye on the stocks, gives you hyperlinks to learn more about such stocks right there. And to top it off, ladies and gentlemen, you also get access to our ticker tape, which also has hyperlinks and is built to catch the stocks when they're starting to heat up before they go parabolic, because, ladies and gentlemen, this ain't noise, it's structure. So if you want to know how to approach this market, right? If that's how you want to approach the market, grab that 4-day pass and come see it live, ladies and gentlemen. Links in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check it out, ladies and gentlemen, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times, baby. A lot of baggers a lot of times, all right? Come see it live. The link is in the description in the pinned comment section. So when you come in, let us know that you saw us on stream as well, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know. Let us know, because we want to know. We want to know, my lovely. You know what I mean? So we got that going on right there. So, yes, much love. Take care of yourselves. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find us on our YouTube channel at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money, where we do lots of live streams, lots of videos, lots of stock reviews, stock analysis, long form and short form videos as well. So you can find all that and more at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money. I'm pretty sure we also do some wonderful motivational stuff in the shorts there too. So yeah. Lots of motivational stuff too, because you know when you're trading, you do have to have a positive mindset when it comes to things. So yeah, that's what you got to do right there. All right, but also you can find us on our X.com, aka Twitter, at Coaching Money, where we basically take a look at stock reviews, stock analysis. We do lots of live streaming there as well. All right, you can find us on Twitch at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money, where we do lots of live streaming there too. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money, you can find us on our TikTok, Tiki Taki, aka the Tac Tac. The Tac Tac. You can find us there at DBL Nicks. At DBL NICKS, and the screen name is Coach Nick Money. So we got that going on right there. So yes sir. So ladies and gentlemen, that's what we got going on right there. So yeah. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to stay tuned at 1:30 p.m. for our wonderful show, the Power Plays Show, hosted by the legend himself, Coach Nick Money. Let me get a drink real quick before I continue. Hold on. Because the throat's getting a little dry. So yes, Power Plays is hosted by the legend himself, Coach Nick Money, co-hosted by myself. And basically what it is a wonderful show that takes place before the Power Hour. It takes place before the Power Hour of each day. And ladies and gentlemen, what he basically does, the Coach Meister General reviews the stocks, takes a good look at them, gives his honest review and analysis over there. And then what he does is he lets them stocks simmer on high heat, lets them simmer. All right? He lets them simmer nice. And he basically gets some dubs for the community in Fortnite. Get some dubs for the community. That's what he likes to do. He likes to get some dubs for the community. So, yes, sir. All right. So, that's what Coach likes to do there. And then he goes back to going down and looking at the stocks. Nice little process he goes through there. You know what I mean? He lets the stocks simmer on high heat. He interacts with you guys. And, he just has an all-around wonderful time. So, that's what we got going on there. So, stay tuned for Power Plays, which will be up at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, ladies and gentlemen. 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can check it out there. All right, and to top it off, you can check it out on YouTube, X, and Twitch at Coaching Money. At Coach Nick Money. So that's what we got going on right there. Justin Souders wants to take a look at SkyQ, so we'll take a look at SkyQ before we head off. All right. SKYQ. SKYQ, choppy.
Yes.
Very choppy as of now. Needs a lot of volume. Needs a lot of volume. Take a look at all that chop right there. A lot of chop, a lot of indecisive wicks right there. So Sky Q needs volume for it to be so much mexi to mya. There we go. Sky Q just needs a lot of volume. Very choppy price action. Needs volume to stay above that VWAP. And that's what we got going on. Justin says, thanks, brother. Of course, our pleasure. All right. So Sky Q, SKYQ needs volume. All right, let's take a look at the float. Float is 23 million, so it's a bit heavy. Volume is 146,000. Yeah, needs a lot of volume. So needs a lot of volume because it's a very heavy float to match and break through the heavy float. Choppy price action as of now. So we got that going on right there. Has some choppy price action. Needs volume for it to be so much mexi to meow for Sky Q. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you guys so much for watching. Much love. It's Double Nicks. I love you guys. I love you. And I'm here with the lovely Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around in the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Other times she likes to jet ski. Other times she likes to regular ski. And other times she gets shot out the cannon and she goes, wee! Other times she likes to party and she likes to go to Arby's and sometimes goes to Wendy's. And other times she goes to Mickey D's. Other times she goes to Wendy's, and other times she goes to Burger King, and other times, of course, she likes to go into the stock market and she'll find them ABCDs. After all, she did call some wonderful stocks like SLAI, TLYS, and BNRG. We call her Divya Moms! So that's what we got going on right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is going on. So much love. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. Make a lot of money, be greenable. Remember, you are indelibles because we want you to leave your mark. That's why we call you indelibles. We want you to leave your mark, make it unerasable, irreplaceable, make it indelible. All right? That's pretty much what we got going on. So we'll see you at 1:30 p.m. for Power Plays, hosted by the legend himself, Coaching Money. So be sure to check it out on YouTube, Twitch, and X at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money. And that's what we got going on. So much love. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful